In today's video, I want to go over a few questions that came in from a subscriber regarding the Ola Hallegren Index Optimize procedure and some very specific questions regarding usage. So here's the questions. I wanted to configure index reorganize using Ola Hallegren. Considering my database size is 10 terabytes, should I keep sort in TempDB? Option to yes. And then the next question was, is there a way to reorganize the index without hampering performance? And the last question is, how can I configure Ola Hallegren scripts for only index reorganize, even if fragmentation level is above 30%? So let's dig into it. Okay, so first question was, my database size is 10 terabytes. Should I keep the sort and TempDB option? Yes. And the answer is, well, it depends. And it really depends on, do you have adequate space allocated for TempDB? And some of the factors you need to consider is, how many concurrent index operations do you plan on running? Because you can run the index optimized procedure in parallel, and you could actually have multiple jobs running at the same time. So are you going to serialize it, or are you going to have them run in parallel? And then you need to consider the size of your largest indexes that you might be doing index maintenance on concurrently. And you could just use the sp space use command to take a look at table data and index size, and then you can dig into the actual details for individual index sizes. So those are the things you need to consider when using sort and TempDB. And most of the time, I try and allocate my TempDB in such a way that I can enable that option, because it will run more. And the next question we had here was, is there a way to reorganize the index without hampering performance? The answer here is really no. There's no free lunch, but you can mitigate with your overall index maintenance strategy. So you can mitigate the hampering of performance by using strategies. And I actually covered, I have another video that talks about strategies of applying index optimize, so check that out. But back to this question, some of the things you can do is you can use time limits on your index maintenance, so that your jobs are only running for so long, and you can avoid peak hours of your system activity. Another thing you can do is divide and conquer. So you can have different jobs that work on different databases, for example, or you can stagger your jobs so that in certain days you might run longer than others, depending on processing of your system. Or you can run index maintenance on one database one day and another day. Just different ways that you can divide things up so that you're operating on things and you're not just clobbering your system all at once. And as I said before, you really have to avoid index rebuilds if you're not on standard edition. So you just use the index reorganize, and that's worked out well for me to avoid a lot of blocking. And you could use fragmentation levels to define your index, when index maintenance actually run on indexes. So you can raise those levels so that it's only above, if it's above 90%, it'll be operating on things. And that's just another way to limit how long things are running. But you also have to balance how well your system performs with high levels of fragmentation, and try and working in such a way that your jobs are running and not impacting system performance, but you're getting the lowest level of fragmentation that you can. And then you also want to be aware of your largest and most expensive index maintenance activities related to indexes. And it's always really going to be related to the size of that index, in addition to maybe overall activity on the table that you're running the index maintenance on. The last question we had here was, how can I configure Ola Hallegren scripts for only index reorganize, even if the fragmentation level is above 30%? And the answer is, you can actually use the same command for multiple levels. So I've got an example here. So what I've got my fragmentation medium level set at 30% and fragmentation high set at 70%. And then these are the actions that are going to be carried out at those two levels. And as you notice, they're both index reorganize. And, it might not be obvious. And that's why these questions are great, is because, people, I may not think of these questions, and you guys are thinking of them. And if chances are, if there's one person out there that has a question, somebody else has the same one. So, yep, you can use the same action for multiple levels. That's it for today's video. I really appreciate the question. Please like if you liked the content. Consider subscribing to the channel. And hey, send your questions. As I said, you guys are thinking of things that I may not. And that's the great thing about this channel for me is that, people will actually think of things that I may not for content, and I can bring the answers to you. Hopefully, I can bring the correct answers to you and bring value to everybody. So thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye.